Happy 4th of July. I hope everybody is doing well. Well, it is Tuesday, July 4th, and here in the U.S., we are celebrating Independence Day. Hi, I'm Thesha Jenkins Corteen, and I am celebrating with you today in all things independence. You know, it is truly a blessing to be here in this country. And also, I want to celebrate independence all around the world. And so today, I have with me an exciting guest, a gentleman that I met about 5 years ago on my travels to West Africa in Ghana. And so today we're going to be having a brief conversation around independence. Now, for those of you who may follow me or who may not, just very briefly, I am a certified emotional intelligence practitioner, have been providing training, coaching, and consulting for almost about a decade around the skills of emotional intelligence. And for those who are familiar with emotional intelligence, we know that it is basically the ability to be able to manage ourselves and our relationships. And it is extremely important. And I often like to think of emotional intelligence as an essential skills. Some people would say that it's about soft skills. It's about essential skills. And so today I thought that I would like to come and just have a brief conversation on this day as we talk about independence, because independence is one of the skills of being emotionally intelligent. And I couldn't think of anyone better to relaunch going live than my good friend in Accra. There in Ghana. He is an amazing man. And so I've invited him to come and to share with us today. Hey there, Peggy Levere. Thank you. Thank you. If you have a chance, share it out. And for those who are watching, I'm streaming today on Facebook Live, on LinkedIn, and also on YouTube. So we're touching all the social media platforms today. And so I'm going to bring up my guest, James Kwesi Addison, who is with the Addison Center for Emotional Intelligence. And just to give him a good introduction, we met about 5 years ago. And because of both of our love for emotional intelligence, and I have dubbed him as Mr. Emotional Intelligence in West Africa. This gentleman was the first person to bring an emotional intelligence summit to Ghana. And so I'm going to bring him up and we're going to talk a little bit about how we met. We're going to talk more about emotional intelligence and the specific skill of independence, and find out what is upcoming for Mr. Addison. So here we come. Let's give it up for Mr. Addison. And for those of you who are on Facebook Live, if you can hit those like buttons and some love and some stars for my guest today. Mr. Addison, welcome. Akwaba.
Welcome. I'm very excited. I can't hide my joy of joining you today. And I think it's a wonderful time you've chosen, because anybody that lacks independence is not going anywhere.
Exactly.
It's one of the beautiful skills that make people who they are. So I'm very great. That is why countries fight for independence, right? They could have been without independence and still be okay. But it gets to a time that people want to get their own independence, because what is in you could not be that fruitful if you don't have that independence. So I think it's a very good time. It's a very good initiative, and I'm very happy that we've reconnected again.
Yes. And thank you. While I was in West Africa about 2 weeks ago and had the opportunity to train alongside with you. And so I want to thank you for that opportunity. So I am introducing you to those who I am connected to on my social media platforms. And so I want to invite you to share briefly about who is James Kwesi Addison, and tell us about the work that you are doing there in Ghana.
Thank you very much. James Kwesi Addison is a Ghanaian. Uh, I had my first degree at a university in Ghana called University of Cape Coast. Then I proceeded to UK for my master's, Coventry Uni, and I returned back to Ghana. I worked as a lecturer, then moved on to the industry as a head of business development and intelligence, right? Business intelligence at one of the banks in Ghana. And the year 2014, I had an opportunity to know something small about emotional intelligence when I was invited to UK to have a conference. I had a conference at the Birmingham University, and I talked about doing business in Africa, the things that you need to have it at the back of your mind. For instance, in this part of the world, that time there was doomsaw, popularly become known as doomsaw. That is constant light of
Yes.
to do business in Africa, and you think light is a necessity, then probably you need to sit up and know that this part of the world it could be a luxury, or you may even have your money, but the system will not be working enough for you to have that electricity, which is free, and nobody gets up in advance world and think of whether the light is going to be off or not. I
Well,
was UK for so many years, it never happened.
well, let
Right?
me tell you this, Mr. Addison.
Good.
As of late, within the last past year, we did experience a blackout. And so,
Wow.
even though we are quote unquote a developed country, we too
Good
have our issues.
issue. So at that time, these were some of the things I talked about. And then 2016, I enrolled with the EQ Development Group in Canada, and I was certified as an emotional intelligence coach on behalf of the Multi Health Systems Incorporated. And ever since we've been in this business, uh, I've, I've, um, I've done a lot of trainings across all the sectors and the regions in Ghana, and I've represented Ghana in a couple of countries, both in Africa and the Western world. And one of the things that really keeps me going and has made me popular in Africa and in Ghana is the Emotional Intelligent African Summit, which was initiated in the year 2018
Yeah.
through your own inspiration. I decided to go for it. And I must use this opportunity to let your listeners and audience know that although you are in abroad with such a huge distance, right, crossing seas that we cannot even measure in volumes, but your impact on my life and the impact on the continent of Africa, especially through Ghana, cannot be overemphasized. It was through you that I initiated the most popular conference in Ghana in emotional intelligence space, that's Emotional Intelligent African Summit. And that year, you took it upon yourself to be a part of the movement. You were here, you spoke as one of our guest speakers, and since then, you have been of support. Last year, you joined us by the Zoom and you spoke as well. Last year was our fifth anniversary, and this year is going to be the sixth one. Right? We've impacted a lot of organizations, and I was born from traditional background. I was raised from the palace, so there's no chief in Ghana who has not attended Emotional Intelligent African Summit. We've honored the chief imam, His Eminency, Dr. Shergotu of Ghana, the Vice President of the National House of Chiefs, the President of the Central Regional House of Chiefs, the President and the former Vice Chancellor of the University of Cape Coast, among others. This has been a hallmark of what Addison has been doing.
Wow. A lot, a lot. And I thank you. Thank you for allowing me to be a part of this journey as well. So I want to go ahead and dive in. Um, hopefully our audience is getting an idea of the amazing work that you are doing there in Ghana. And we're wanting you to be global, not only on the continent, but here in the US. You got your start with MHS Multi Health Systems out of Canada. You and I are both certified through the same organization. So today I want to focus on independence. As I said earlier, today here in the US, we are celebrating the 4th of July, which is independence. I know that in Ghana, you also celebrate an Independence Day. And you said something very key at the beginning about people fighting for independence. And so, uh, according to the training that you and I both have had, is that independence is one of those skills. And when we talk about independence, I just want to briefly read the definition.
Good.
It is the ability to be self directed and self controlled in
Mm,
your thinking and actions, and to be free of emotional dependency.
mm,
And some of the attributes of individuals who exercise independence is that they have the ability to, as we say, stand on your own 2 feet, to not have to need other people's approval. And
mm,
that's huge. We're here on social media now. And I was talking with some friends and my sister I often talk to, and how so many times we need a sense of approval. And here is the reality: in order to truly be successful in our lives, our businesses, and our careers, we have to have a level of independence.
yes.
And that is born out of having a healthy self esteem,
Mm,
self confidence, and really
mm,
believing in yourself. So,
mm.
share with us how your work there in Ghana is helping professionals, helping educators, children to learn how to be more self confident, to have that self esteem, so that they can begin to make choices to move their life forward.
You know, independence is such a broad uh, word, and it's so important. Let me take you a little back to creation, right? When we are born, we are tied with our mother. And with the very point of becoming independent is when the umbilical cord is cut off between you and your mother. It's a sign of independence because God knew that in the womb of your mother, you were nurtured up to a point. Now you cannot come to this world and your mother will be linked to you still through the umbilical cord. I wonder how we would have transport. I wonder how we would have gone about doing our own thing. So God placed a premium on independence. That is why on that day when you were born, the umbilical cord is cut to represent your independence and usher you into the world. That is the very first point: independence and creation. Now, let me take you back again to Jesus Christ. When Christ was on this earth, the devil made several attempts to get devil's approval. But it got to a time, after the third time of, of tempting Christ, Christ shouted on the devil and said, get away from me. This was after the 40 days and 40 nights. Devil had wanted Christ to go by his approval and identity. But at that point, Christ said, I knew myself, I am independent. I am the Alpha and Omega, the beginning and the end. Before the word, before the creation, there was this word. This word became man. He lived within the man. He suffered what man suffered. And he came back to save us. So independence is so broad and it's so important to God that anybody downplay the power of independence is downplaying the purpose that God has embedded in people for his creation and for his name's sake. So independence is so, so important. Now, how do even countries need to fight for independence? Countries need to fight for independence because they want their identity to be distinguished. Now, when we are born as children, we could have just lie down and we will be fed. But no, we tell people, no, 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 we want to walk. We want to try this. You get to a time we want to go to school. All these things are process of becoming independent. Why? because it gets to a time in your life that everything can disappoint you. Everything can go away from you. It will be left to you alone to make that bold decision. And that is why from day one, independence is so important to be built, even in children. Now, how do emotional intelligence promote independence? One of the ways that emotional intelligence promotes independence is that one of the building blocks of emotional intelligence is self-confidence and self-esteem. Now, this kind of a skill determines how far you can go in life. When I started this, it got to a time I was speaking, she said, James, you can do it. Why don't you try this? Now, first and foremost, before you can even ask me to try something, you were confident yourself. You were independent yourself. At that moment in time that you were speaking to me, you did not wait for anybody's approval to tell you that Tisa Jenkins, quoting what you are telling James is good, is something that it will help James. No, you did not wait for anybody's approval. Now, for you to be able even to direct me and advise me, it means you are self-independent. It means you are confident. Now, that confidence that you invited in me pushed me to go into that. So, when children are born, one of the ways that we can incorporate independence into them is the ability to guide them to do things that they wish to do. So, in countries like Netherlands and Norway, they have a way to develop passions in children. They allow the children to pick any play that they are happy with. And you see, they provide all these things. A child that wants to play football will automatically be driven towards football. When that natural passion is picked up, then they can help the child to enhance it from time to time. Even if a parent has something for the child that I want to be a doctor, I want you to be an engineer, that natural passion could also help a child because this is what he will do at any point in time, even without reward. So when the technical abilities suffer any challenge, this person will revert back to his passion that may not necessarily give him that money, but give him that joy and persistence to do whatever he's doing. Independence is so critical. When we move into the workplace, the leaders that are leading our people at the workplace will only be able to stabilize the workplace when it comes to emotional intelligence when they are independent themselves. Now, when they are very independent, they will even have that ability to even withstand what could be termed as nonsense, which one day will be of a very good advice. Let me read something from Aristotle. He said, this is a mark of an educated man to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. An independent is a mark of an educated person, and that person should be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Now, if you are very
Let me.
independent,
You're on a roll, and you're saying some good stuff, and I want to be able to dive down as much
yes,
as we can in the time that we have left. So I want
yes,
to kind of go back, and for
yes,
those who are watching, please feel free to continue to comment and to ask questions. And I forgot to be looking down here at my LinkedIn to see if we got viewers there. I apologize. I
yes,
have not been paying attention over there. I do apologize. So just hold up. We've got, let's see, we've got Jacqueline Hines, who is in the UK, who is watching us this morning. Good morning, Jacqueline. We're celebrating Independence Day here in the US. And I have with me my good friend and colleague, Mr. James Kwesi Addison of Ghana. And we're talking about independence as one of the skills of emotional intelligence. So let me dive into what something you said a little bit earlier.
mm,
And just as a side note, uh, James has a book. Mr. Addison has a book, My Child, My Future. Okay, so look that up. You talked about encouraging the natural inclinations of our children, that
yes,
this is one of the ways that we can build independence.
mm,
And I love when you were talking about that, is that, if our child shows an interest in football, if they show an interest in engineering, anything, that we encourage that. We encourage them to step into that because that is the beginning of them being able to be independent. It is the ability for them to pursue an interest, right? So
yes,
that's key. And then you move that into leadership, that A mark of an effective leader is one who is independent, willing to try new things.
Yeah.
The work that you're doing there in Ghana is because you are a leader. You were willing to step out and to introduce the Emotional Intelligence Summit. Yes, you say that I encouraged you to do it. However, here's the thing. I saw the gift in you. Now,
Mm.
had you not had the skill of independence, you could have said, "Oh yeah, Thisha, that'd be great if there was a summit," and then never did anything with it. However, I believe in less than 30 to 45 minutes of me encourage you to do that, you basically had put that summit together. So that is the mark of independence. And because of that skill, look what you've been able to do over the last 5 years. I just want to do a little drill down on that.
Yes.
And so, and then to carry the conversation on, again, you're doing some remarkable work. And what we know about both here in the US, we're celebrating independence because those who founded this country, and we can do some whole other talk about independence, but we'll just keep it on this focus right now about the ability to create a country, to create a place where there is opportunity. And you are doing that in Ghana.
Mm.
Because definitely, in my travels and being there for the last 6 years, going back and forth, I recognize that, that the continent is a developing country, that Ghana is developing. And the one thing I do love about being there is the strong entrepreneurial spirit. So
Mm.
let's talk about the work that you're doing when it comes to entrepreneurs and those who are leaders in the workplace and the importance of independence.
Great. I had an opportunity to be on the one of the best radio stations in Africa, the Joy FM, and the topic was the role of emotional intelligence in building a successful business. And one of the things I talk about is the fact that independence is very important in making sure that business entrepreneurs will survive. Remember, emotions will drive entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs will drive successful businesses. Emotions will drive entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs will drive successful businesses. Most people that have been very successful in their businesses may differ in so many skills, but take it from me, they are all emotionally intelligent. Businesses thrive when emotional intelligence is very heightening and enlightening in that leader who has sought to bring about businesses. Now, Jack Ma says something that when he was about to enter the payment system, his people told him that, Jack, you can't do this and fail because this is money. It's a direct money transaction. But the man saw the importance of creating a payment system for Chinese because he saw the volume of money that is being done through those transactions. Now, the man went for a conference and the main speaker spoke about independence in business. He said, I just went out of the conference room, called my vice president and the chief operating officer that we are going live with Alipay. When I fail, I'll go to jail. You continue. When you are successful, thanks be to God. When you fail, you will join me. At that time, the man became very independent of himself and of his people. Most of the time, we even start things and a small voice in our head will be challenging us. So when you give that definition, the definition has everything to do with independence. Even independent of our thought, independent of emotions around. Would you be successful? Mr. Addison, why would you leave your work? To be frank, the people that trained me in Canada asked me, James, how can you make money out of emotional intelligence? One day I will travel to Canada and I will carry dollars with me and show them that, thanks be to God, I've made some money out of emotional intelligence. So independence is also important, that every entrepreneur must be independent because a time comes that you need to take that step, right? We are not saying don't do the calculated attempt, but you will leave everything if you lack that self-independence. Now, the self-independent will be your drive something, so that at a point in time when you are so desperate and you think everything is, you've lost everything, that kind of self independence and control helps you to direct whatever you want to do. Remember, without independence, your passion may be in the bedroom. You can don't do anything with that. You have the passion, but do you have the independence to even think of putting up that summit, knowing that nobody knows you? Who is Mr. James Addison? What qualification does he have? What government circle? What influence is this person? Who told you that the vice president of the National House of People will accept to be your chairman for a very first conference in a different space in emotional intelligence? It takes the level of independence to go ahead in that. So independent is, I mean, before you even think of that business, you must be independent, because people will
Yes.
ask questions. You can't raise all the money. How are you going to get all the technical abilities? But as soon as you start and people see that you are very independent, every decision that you take, you have people to support you, because they know that when people become independent, they are ready to die even for what they have believed in.
Oh,
Nations have.
you're saying
uh,
so much good stuff, and
mm,
we only got 4 minutes left, so I think we probably need to do this more often. I
good,
want to kind of wrap it up.
good.
I want to touch on something that you said
Mm,
about the thoughts that we have,
mm,
and part of that skill of independence is being able to manage those inner thoughts,
good,
what we may call managing our um, self management. Under
good.
when we talk about emotional intelligence, talking about self management, talking about having those amygdala hijacks, talking about that self talk.
Mm,
And many times I have failed to be independent, thinking about, well, what will people think? What if I
mm,
do this? And so here's that other part of being independent, is that when you have this idea, when
mm,
you have uh, this innovation, that
mm,
sometimes you cannot worry about what the naysayers are thinking,
mm,
right? You
mm,
cannot worry about having a cosigner. Part of that independence is saying, I believe that emotional intelligence, that I can be able to bless other people, and this will be a way for me to take care of my family, that this is a career choice. It is saying that, yes, Ghana is ready for an emotional intelligence summit. For me, talking about independence, even my journey to Ghana, the first time I had dreamed of coming to Ghana for almost 20 years. And because of lack of independence, lack of self confidence, I had allowed people to talk me out of it, like, oh, you can't travel by yourself. You can't go to another continent by yourself. And finally, there was something that said, I need to be in Ghana. And so that's the importance that we want to share with our audience this morning, is that if you have a dream, if you have a desire, if there is something you know that you have been positioned to do it. And is it hard? Yes, it is. Because
mm,
you have to learn to believe in yourself. You got to learn not to have cosigners. You got to learn to manage those thoughts inside of your head. And so, as we have some amazing people here this morning. Nikki Kaiser, who is doing amazing work here in the childcare setting. Pastor Marnie Alada, who is a woman in ministry, and we know that it takes independence to be a woman in ministry. Onika Mars, who is there in Trinidad and Tobago, who is doing some amazing work with survivors of domestic violence. Peggy Levere, she is doing amazing work, and girl, you're going to get that total independence, because here is the thing, that just like for the forefathers here in the United States, that this country would not be what it is. And is it without problems? No, there are still issues in this country. This week, we saw the problems in this country. In Ghana, there are issues. There will always be issues. However, each of us has been given a gift, and we have to believe in ourselves enough in order to share that gift with the world. That is how this country has been built, and that is how the continent of Africa is being built. Final thoughts, Mr. Addison, as we begin to close up. What are your final thoughts about independence in less than a minute?
Yeah,
And also, what
my
is
final
next?
thought, shout out to Hans. Hans in UK. He's been a very good friend on social media and LinkedIn. I've been following her a lot, and There are certain things we started working on. I think very soon we'll revisit it, and one day she'll be in Ghana, I'll be in UK very soon. But my last remark is that shout out to all the people that are doing marvelously with emotional intelligence around the globe. We need to make sure that we become independent. Let's groom people to be independent. Now, being independent will help you to nurture that passion, will give you that ability to help others so that the purpose of God in their lives will come to pass. I'm very grateful and I look forward to many of such engagement. Look out for Mr. James Kwesi Addison on Facebook, Emotional Intelligence TV, on YouTube. And I think one day I'll be in US and it's going to be mega when I'm around. Shout out to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And you've got a fan club, I think. Onika Mars is looking forward to meeting you in person in Ghana.
Good.
Nikki Kaiser, she's saying, bring you back again. So we're
Good.
going to have to talk about maybe bringing you back on a regular basis to
Good.
share the amazing work that is happening there. And
Good.
also, I would be remiss not to say this as we are talking about independence.
Mm,
We're not saying not to be team players because
good.
the whole idea of being emotionally intelligent, again, is learning how to manage yourself and to manage your relationships. And the reality is, we are social creatures, that we were created to collaborate. You are here today celebrating with me Independence Day in the US because of collaboration. So definitely part of being independent is being able to have your own thoughts, is being able to move forward. And at the same time, independence is also about collaboration, recognizing that everybody has something to contribute. And sometimes when we're not truly independent, it can make us afraid to collaborate because we begin to think, oh, if I put a shine on Mr. Addison, what does that mean about me? Are y'all tracking me? So definitely let's also be very clear that independence means that you are not dependent upon another person. However, at the same time, because you are confident in who you are and they are confident in who they are, that you can come together independently to collaborate. So with that, um, we are going to sign off. I am wishing everybody here in the United States a happy Independence Day. And to Mr. Addison, again, thank you so very much
And
for the
Tisha,
opportunity.
you know something, as if it's coincidence, today, I think today or tomorrow, the Kwame Nkrumah's Memorial Park has been, how do you call it, rebuilt, refurbished, and is going to be rededicated to Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the man that stood for independence of Ghana. That tells you
Ah,
how powerful the independent concept is. So next year when you are in Ghana, all your friends when they come, I will take them to the Kwame Nkrumah Memorial Park. It's now a proper park with the history of the man, the books displayed, even the car the man has been using. All of them has been brought from all corners of Ghana and is being displayed there now. Very nice place now in Ghana for Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, the founder of Ghana.
well, I'm going to hold you to that. In fact, I'm
Yeah,
supposed to be meeting with someone next week about the possibility of bringing a group to Ghana in
good,
24. So
good, good.
let's let's let,
I'm
let's
happy to play any
collaborate.
role in that. Very, very happy to receive them. Yeah,
All right. Well, we could talk forever because I think both of us enjoy talking, and thank you again for our audience because I think that they're enjoying it, and I want to thank everybody. Until next time, this is Thisha Jenkins Corting. Let's talk EI. I'll be coming back more and more with other topics. And again, Mr. Addison, let it be publicly known. I truly am thankful for your friendship and your
good,
collaboration. Thank you.
good, good. I'm also grateful. Bye.
Everybody have a blessed day.